Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and thank you so much for being here. My voice was kind of not in the best way last week, so thank you for being patient with the posts. I will be getting the affirmation tracks and the subliminals out, as I mentioned, in the community tab. And today I just kind of wanted to start off about the external manifesting from the internal. And I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about it, as I know that I had a comment about whether it's all separate when you're actually focusing on something to manifest into your reality, if that is separate from the internalized manifestations that you create within. And obviously, it's not separate, everything is a union. And when we are looking outside of ourselves, that is kind of how we know where our beliefs are, because anything that we are manifesting is really coming from how we perceive things. It is always coming from within, and this is why we can all have a different experience from the person sitting next to us about anything that we are experiencing. So, for example, something can happen in our reality, but to one person it may be perceived as something that wasn't all that bad, or the other person could actually see it as a trauma and something that is, hard to overcome. So it all kind of comes down to the beliefs that we hold and how we are perceiving things. So what I do want to say is that when we're looking outside of our reality, if we do not like what it is that we see, rather than kind of, jumping in and starting to say affirmations that are kind of changing what we see in our reality, it's really just to ask ourselves the questions. Always, from my own perspective and from my own experience as well, to really start small. And what I mean by this is that when we start jumping into big things that seem big to us, because nothing really is big or small, it's really just how we perceive it. But when something seems kind of impossible at the moment, try to come from it in a way that is possible for you to experience at the moment. So, for example, if there is something that you want to change in your belief, maybe you want to have a new relationship or a car, a house, money, whatever it is that you're actually wanting to attract. And you look out into your reality and you kind of say to yourself, oh, this seems just so impossible to manifest right now because of this, that, and the other. You stop yourself and then you kind of ask yourself, why is it seeming impossible? So first of all, you might actually have an idea, okay, well, I have to have this money to get this car or this house. I have to be maybe dating in order to manifest a new relationship. You can have all of these kind of rationalized ways of what it is that you are wanting to call into your reality. So when you rationalize it down in this way, then you kind of ask yourself, okay, what is it that I could actually incorporate now in the next 24 hours for me to actually just kind of even just get into the whole feeling of possibility? Like, you don't actually have to jump into actually believing it straight away. What this actually does is it changes the direction in your brain. So we know that this is all neuroplasticity and that we're really just rewiring the brain, and we are able to create whatever it is that we want. This is a truth for us. The only way that we don't believe in this is because maybe we put too much pressure on ourselves that everything has to be instantaneous for us to actually believe that we're master manifestors. But that's not the truth. What it actually is coming into the awareness that you are very, very powerful, and that everything that you are wanting to create is a possibility. And it's an incorporation of aligning to that kind of belief of possibility rather than the belief of what it is that you are manifesting. So this is why I kind of like to talk about manifestation from your own kind of self-concept. And what I mean by this is that when we look at manifestation, we do actually manifest our beliefs, our thoughts, and who we are as a person, our behaviors, what it is that we are actually desiring, like have a really true desire in our heart. We do actually manifest from all of those ways. So if we are actually manifesting from all of those ways, why then would we be using, the majority of our affirmations into one kind of thing, one specific thing. So if I am a master manifestor and I can manifest whatever it is that I desire, and let's say, for example, I am desiring a new relationship, well, I would be, I'm looking at things then that are, okay, who am I in this relationship? What thoughts do I have? What beliefs do I have? How do I show up in my day? How is my routine in my day? What kind of role do I have? What title do I have? Am I, wife? Am I a girlfriend? Or, all of these type of things that we come into, we think about first before we start thinking about the type of person that we are actually manifesting into our life. And the reason why I kind of want to come from this angle is because when we actually, when you manifest the relationship in, you want to be this person who is maintaining it and sustaining it. And I'm using a relationship as an example, but it's actually with everything. It's money, it's cars, houses, and anything that you are creating. And you know this already anyway. But when we want to maintain it and sustain it, we have to be somebody who is actually seeing ourselves and embodying ourselves as somebody who is able to consistently maintain and sustain whatever it is that we are attracting. The easiest thing from manifesting is actually manifesting the thing that we're manifesting, and that's because it's like, when you think about it, you will see it in your reality. The struggle, I think, then comes from the wavering, and the wavering only comes from our disbelief in ourselves. And that is why we start inside before we actually create whatever it is that we are manifesting outside. And I'm not even wanting to say this as a limiting belief. I'm saying it from a psychological perspective. I'm saying it from a healthy perspective as well too, because we want to be looking at our beliefs in a healthy way in our nervous system. And also as well too, the biggest gift that you can give yourself in life is to put it into yourself in a loving, compassionate way. When you have this kind of embodiment of love and compassion within you, you won't be able to help but show up in that way. So if somebody comes up to you in an unfavorable way, it's not going to be as triggering as it once was, maybe before you were a loving, before you actually embodied this kind of loving, compassionate way for yourself, because you won't believe it. So when we start getting triggered by people around us, if, negative comments and negativity, negative behaviors, it's only because when they show up, we believe it about ourselves. So we believe we deserve the disrespect, we believe we deserve the negativity, and we believe that we're not good enough. And that is the reason why it actually triggers us. But when we actually build ourselves up in a way that is, self-compassionate, self-loving, not egotistical, I'm not talking about the ego here, but, a humble confidence in who you are, and a humble confidence in how much you are deserving to be here and how much you deserve to exist. All of this kind of groundedness that you are doing is what actually is attracting then whatever it is that you desire, but you will maintain it and sustain it because you will be showing up in this way that is desirable. It's like you kind of emanate from this way that when people are showing up in, the favorable way, you're able to maintain and sustain that because you believe it. You believe, okay, like, we're both worthy of what it is that we want. We're both deserving, we're both good enough. And, this is easier then to achieve. It's easier to live by, and it's easier to enjoy as well too, because this is kind of what you built within. So I just wanted to kind of start off from that video. I will have more coming up when we are talking about this. And I know that a lot of the time that you kind of know from whatever it is that you're watching or reading or anything about this, that it does all start from within. But I just kind of wanted to, I suppose, talk about it again, just to kind of reinforce that knowing as well, that it really does all start within. Nothing is separate from us. So anything that we're manifesting is an external manifestation of our internal way of being, thinking, behaving, how we show up every day, our routines, our habits, everything that we experience is kind of like the external manifestation of what we are, who we are within. I do also want to say that, you know, some things that come up that are undesirable are not actually something that we would have manifested from internal, you know, from our internal way. However, when if something undesirable does come up, it's really just how we actually overcome it, how we see it, how we perceive it. So we're all human. We're all living in a world of, you know, 8 billion people, and you know, it's kind of I suppose, a misconception to say that we're never going to have some undesirable little thing that might pop up. And so it's having the awareness that that may be possible, and that if it does pop up, that you are actually somebody who is the creator. You can overcome it. Any circumstance is changeable, because nothing is permanent, and it's coming from this kind of optimism kind of way, without being toxic. It's always about coming in a healthy way that you can achieve and you can overcome. And that is actually your purpose here on this earth as well too. That is who you are as a human being. So I just wanted to kind of do a video on that, and if you have any questions, you can comment down below and I will chat to you soon.